ಸಂಸಾರದಾವ ನಲನಿದಲೋಕ ತ್ರಣಯ ಕಾರುಣ್ಯ ಗಣ ಗಣತ್ವಂ ಪ್ರಾಪ್ತಸ್ಯ ಕಲ್ಯಾಣ ಗುಣರ್ನವಸ್ಯ ವಂದೇ ಗುರೋ ಶ್ರೀಚರಣರವಿಂದಂ महाप्रभो कीर्तन ऋच्य गीता वादित्रमाद्यान् मनसोरसेन रोमाञ्चकम्पश्रुतरङ्गभाजो वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणरविन्दम् श्रीविग्रहाराधननित्यानाना शृङ्गारतनमन्दिरमर्जनादौ ग्रहाराधननित्यानाना शृङ्गारतनमर्जनादौ युक्तस्य भक्तां च नियुञ्जतोऽपि वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणरविन्दम् चतुर्विधा श्रीभगवत्प्रसादौ स्वादन्नतृप्तान् हरिभक्तसङ्गान् कृत्वैव तृप्तिं भजत सदैव वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणरविन्दम् श्रीराधिका माधवयोरपारा माधुर्यलीला गुणरूपानाम्नाम् श्रीराधिका माधवयोरपारा माधुर्यलीला गुणरूपानाम्नाम् प्रतीक्षणा स्वाधनलोलुपास्य वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणरविन्दम् निकुञ्जयो रतिकेलिसिद्ध्याय ह्यायालिभिर्युक्तेरपेक्षणीया तत्र त्रिदाक्षादतिवल्लभस्य वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणरविन्दम् साक्षादरित्वेन समस्तशास्त्रैरुक्तस्तदा भाव्यत एव शब्दिः किन्तु प्रभोर्या प्रिय एव तस्य वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणरविन्दम् यस्य प्रसादात् भगवत्प्रसादो यस्य प्रसादान्नगति कुतोऽपि ध्यायान्सु वांस्तस्य यशस्वीसन्ध्यां वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणारविन्दम् ध्यायान्सु वांस्तस्य यशस्वीसन्ध्यां वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणारविन्दम् श्रीचरणारविन्दम् नमो ॐ विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चादेशतारिणे सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चादेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसदि गौर भक्तवृंद कृष्ण चैतन्य नित्यानंद गदाधर शिवसदि जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसदि गौर भक्तवृंद चैतन्य गदाधर शिवसदि गौर भक्तवृंद जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसदि गौर भक्तवृंद प्रभु नित्यानंद अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसदि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Hariharaya Nama Krishnaya Davaya Namaha Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha Krishna Yadavaya Namaha Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha Gopal Govinda Ram Sri Madhusudana Giridhari Gopinath Madan Mohana Govinda Ram Sri Madhusudana Giridhari Gopinath Madanu Mohana Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Sita Hari Guru Vaishnava Bhagavat Gita Nityananda Sri Advaita Sita Hari Guru Vaishnava Bhagavat Gita Sri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunatha Sri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunatha Upasanatan Bhatta Raghunatha Sri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunatha Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare Hare Jayo Radha Nila Madhav Radha Nila Madhav Sri Radhe Radha Nila Madhav Radha Sri Radhe Jayo Radha Nila Madhav Radha Nila Madhav Sri Radhe Nila Madhav Radha Nila Madhav Sri Radhe Jayo Jagannatha Jayo Baladeva Jayo Subhadrama Jayo Sudarshana Nada Jayo Baladeva Jayo Subhadrama Jayo Sudarshana Jayo Lakshmi Narasimha Jayo Lakshmi Narasimha Jayo Lakshmi Narasimha Jayo Lakshmi Narasimha Jayo Sita Ram Jayo Sita Ram Jayo Sita Ram Jayo Lakshmana Hanuman Jayo Sita Ram Sita Ram Jayo Sita Ram Jayo Lakshmana Hanuman Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol
Jai Om Shnupad Brahmamsa Pradaka Acharya Shtota Shata Shishmatis Divine Grace Aparachana Vrinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON PPTPI Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Om Shnupad Brahmamsa Pradaka Acharya Shtota Shata Shishmatis Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Nama Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Premi se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Dadara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Kili Govardhan Ki Jai Shri Vrajabhumi Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Shri Navadvipa Mayapur Dham Ki Jai Shri Prashottama Chetar Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai Shri Ayodhya Dham Ki Jai Ganga Mai Ki Jai Yamuna Mai Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Samavirta Bhaktavinda Ki Jai Harinam Sankirtana Ki Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Namaste Narasimhaya Prahlade Lade Daine Hiranyakashipurvakshaha Hiranyakashipurvakshaha Silatan kana khalaye Ito nasimha parito nasimha Yato yato yami tato nasimha Bahe nasimha hridaye nasimha Narasimha madim sharanam prapade तव कर कमल वरे नखाम अद्भुत श्रृंगाम दलिता हिरण्यकशिपु तनुभृंगा केशवधृता नरहरि रूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय भक्त प्रहलाद जय भक्त प्रहलाद जय भक्त प्रहलाद जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव नरसिंहदेव भगवान की जय भक्त प्रहलाद की जय
नमो नमः तुलसी कृष्ण प्रेयसी नमो नमः तुलसी नमो नमः तुलसी कृष्ण प्रेयसी नमो नमः राधा कृष्ण सेवा पाबो ए अभिलाषी राधा कृष्ण सेवा पाबो ए अभिलाषी जे तुम्हार शरण लोय तारा वंश पूर्ण होय कृपा करी करो तारे वृंदावन वासी मोरा ये अभिलाष विलास कुंज दियो वास नयन हेरिबो सदा युगल रूपरासी ए निवेदनदा साकिरानुगात करो ए निवेदनदारो साकिरानुगात करो सेवाधिकार दिए करो निज दासी दीना कृष्ण दासे को ये नमो होय दीना कृष्ण दासे को ये नमो होय श्री राधा गोविंद प्रेम सदा ये नबासी श्री राधा गोविंद प्रेम सदा ये नबासी नमो नमः तुलसी कृष्ण प्रेयसी नमो नमः तुलसी कृष्ण प्रेयसी यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्महत्यादिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणश्यन्ति प्रदर्शेन पदे पदे
Yani can sing 3 times in Hare Krishna.
यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्महत्यादिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणश्यन्ति प्रदक्षिण पदे पदे यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्महत्यादिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणश्यन्ति प्रदर्शेन पदे पदे यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्महत्यादिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणश्यन्ति प्रदक्षिणा पदे पदे यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्महत्यादिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणश्यन्ति प्रदक्षिण पदे पदे Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Tulsi Maharani, Jaya Tulsi Maharani, Jaya Tulsi Maharani, Jaya Tulsi Maharani. Jaya Vrinda Devi, Jaya Vrinda Devi, Jaya Vrinda Devi, Jaya Vrinda Devi. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada.
My desire also grant me residence in the precious groves of Shiva and Davanatam. Thus, within my vision, I shall always behold the beautiful paths of Radha and Krishna. I beg you to make me follow Carol Dancer Virgin. Please give me the privilege devotional service and make me your own maidservant. This very fallen, lowly servant of Krishna prays. May I always swim in the love, Shri Radha and Govinda. Srimati Tulsi Maharani ki jai. There are 10 offenses in the matter of chanting holy name that should be avoided, and they are as follows. 1. To blaspheme devotees who have dedicated life for propagating holy name of the Lord. 2. To consider the name of the demigods like Lord Shiva or Brahma to be equal to independent name Lord Vishnu. 3. To disobey the orders of spiritual master. 4. To blaspheme the Vedic literature or literature pursuing the Vedic version. 5. To consider the glory of chanting Hare Krishna as imagination. 6. To give some interpretation to holy name of the Lord. 7. To commit sinful activities and strength of chanting the holy name. 8. To consider chanting Hare Krishna with auspicious ritualistic activities, offering the Vedas fruity activities, karma, ganda. 9. To instruct a faithless person about glorious holy name. 10. To not complete faith in the chanting holy names and to maintain material attachments in understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to Vaishnava must carefully guard against these 10 offenses in order to quickly achieve desired success, Krishna, Prema. Now let us offer our most humble obeisances on all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. They are just as trees who can fulfill to everyone their full compassion for the fallen conditioned souls. Vanchaka. Shri Chaitanya Shikshastakam ki jai. Jeto Darpana Marjanam Bhava Mahadavakni Nirvapanam Shriya Kairava Chantrika Vitaranam Vidyavatu Jivanam Anandam Pudivardhanam Pratipadam Purunamita Sadanam Sarvatmasnapanam Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Nam Namakari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktis Tatra pita niyamita smaranena kalaha etadishi tavakripa bhagavam mamapi durudevami disham yaha janina nurakaha trinatapi sunichena tarorapi sahishnuna amanina manadena kirtanhiya sada harihi na dhanam na janam na sundarim kavitam va jagadisha kamaye Mama Jammani Jammanishware Bhavata Bhaktir Haituki Tvai Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaram Patitam Mam Vishame Bhavam Buddha Kripaya Tava Pada Pankaja Sthita Duri Satesham Vichintaya Nayanam Galadashuru Daraya Vatanam Gad Gadarudaya Kira Pulakai Nichitam Vapurkada Tava Nama Grahane Bhavishati Yuga itam nimishena chakshusha pravisha itam shunya itam jagat sarvam govinda virahena me ashrisha va padaratam pinnashtumam adarsanam marmahatam karotu va yatha tatha va vidathatu lampato madprana nathastu sa eva na paraha Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Chaitanya Shikshastakam ki jai. Glory to Shri Krishna Sankirtana, which cleanses the heart of all that does accumulate for years and distinguishes 5 conditional life, repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction of humanity at large, because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean chance of bliss and enables us to fully taste the nectar for which always anxious. Oh my Lord, your holy name alone grants all benediction human beings. Thus you have hundreds of millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you have vested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. Oh my Lord, our kindness enables us to easily approach you by your holy name, but have no opportunity to so no attraction for them. One should chant holy name of the Lord in humble state of mind, thinking yourself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service, birth after birth. O Sahamarnanda Krishna, I am an eternal servitor, yet somehow I have fallen in the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the items at your lotus feet. O my Lord, while my eyes be decorative, tears love flowing constant when I chant the holy name, while my voice choke up, all the hairs of my body stand and the recitation of your name. Oh Govinda, feeling of separation, I'm constant moment to be like a great millennium. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I'm feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he shall remain so even if he handles me roughly by his embrace, or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipable Lord, unconditionally. Shri Chaitanya Shikshastakam ki jai. Shri Mangala Charna prayers ki jai. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Soyam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Patakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Ragnatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savatutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakham Vitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nivishesha Shunyavadi Pachatya Deshatarine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Iti Namine Shri Varshabhanavi Devi Daitaya Kripaptaye Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Dayine Prabhavin Namaha Madhuyo Jala Premadya Shri Rupanuga Bhaktita Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostute Namaste Gauravani Shri Murtaye Dina Darine Rupanuga Virudapa Siddhanta Dvanta Harine Namo Gaura Kishoraya Sashad Vairagya Murtaye Vipalambara Sambodhe Padam Pujayate Namaha Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Sachidananda Namine Gaura Shakti Svarupaya Rupanuga Varayate Gaurarvya Bhava Bhumestvam Nirdeshta Sajana Priyaha Vaishnava Sarabhama Shri Jagannathaya Te Namaha Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyeva Cha Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Padayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratishe Namaha Pancha Tattvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagapate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Jayatam Surator Pangor Mamamanda Mater Gati Masarva Swapadam Bojo Radha Madana Mohano Divya Vindadana Kalpadurmada Shimadara Nagara Singhasanasto Shimadradha Shila Govinda Devo Prishtaribi Sevyamano Smarami Shiman Rasa Rasarambi Vamsivata Tatastitaha Karsham Venu Suner Gopir Gopinata Shiyestunaha Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Shri Mangala Chana prayers ki jai. Shri Brahma Samhita ki jai. Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadirādhya Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam Chintamani Parakara Satmasu Kalpaviksha Raksha Riteshu Surabhi Rabi Palayantam Lakshmi Sahasashata Sambrahma Sevyamanam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Pajami Venun Kavanantam Aravinda Dalaya Daksham Parharvatam Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam Gandharvagoti Kamaniya Vishesha Shobham Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Pajami Alola Chanda Kalasa Madamale Vamshi Ranangadam Panayakeli Kala Vilasam Shaman Tripanga Lalitam Yata Prakasham Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Pajami Angani Yasya Sakalendriya Vrittimanti Pashanti Panti Karayanti Chiram Jaganti Ananda Chimmaya Sadujala Vigrahasya Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Pajami Advaitam Achotam Anadi Mananta Rupam Adyam Purana Purusham Navayovanam Cha Vedeshu Durlabam Adurlabam Atma Bhakta Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Pajami Pantastu Koti Shatavassara Sampragamyo Vayuratapi Manaso Munipangavanan Sopiasti Yapapada Simya Vichinta Tatve Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Pajami Ekopya Sarachayitum Jagadanta Kotim Ya Chakti Rasti Jagadanta Jaya Yadantaha Antantarastha Paramanu Chayantarastham Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Pajami Yad Bhava Bhavita Diyo Manujasta Teva Samprapya Rupa Mahimasana Yana Bhushaha Suktayam Eva Nigama Patitai Stuvanti Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Pajami Ananda Chimma Rasa Pati Bhavitabis Tapiya Eva Njarupa Taya Kalapihi Goloka Eva Nivasatya Kilatma Bhutto Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Pajami Premanjana Churuta Bhakti Vilochanena Santa Sadeva Hitayeshu Vilokayanti Yam Shama Sundam Achintya Guna Swarupam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Pajami Ramadi Murtishu Kala Niyamena Tishtan Nanavatarama Karo Bhuvaneshu Kintu Krishna Swayam Samabhava Parama Pumamyo Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Pajami. Krishna, who is not Govinda, the Supreme Godhead, has an eternal, blissful spiritual body. He is the origin of all. He has no other origin and the prime cause of all causes. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, the first progenitor who is tending the cows, yielding all desire, in a abode built with spiritual gem, surrounded by millions of purple trees, always served with great reverence and affection by hundreds of thousands of Lakshmis or Gopis.
I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, whose transcendental form is full of bliss, truth, substantiality, and is thus full of the most dazzling splendor. Each of the limbs of that transcendental figure possesses in himself the full-fledged functions of all the organs, and eternally sees, maintains, and manifests the infinite universes, both spiritual and mundane.
I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is inaccessible to the Vedas, but obtainable by pure unalloyed devotion of the soul, who is without a second, who is not subject to decay, is without a beginning, whose form is endless, who is the beginning and the eternal Purusha. Yet he is a person possessing the beauty of blooming youth.
I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, only the tip of the toe of whose lotus feet is thus approached by the yogis who aspire after the transcendental and betake themselves to pranayama by drilling the respiration, or by the jnanis who try to find out the non-differentiated Brahman by the process of elimination and of the mundane, extending over thousands of millions of years.
all the universes exist in him, every one of the atoms that scatters throughout the universe at one and the same time. Such is the primeval Lord whom I adore.
I adore the same Govinda, the primeval Lord, in whose praise men who are imbued with the devotion sing their mantra suktas, told by the Vedas by gaining their appropriate beauty, greatness, thrones, conveyances, and ornaments.
I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord residing in his own realm Goloka with Radha, resembling his own spiritual figure, the embodiment of the ecstatic potency, possessed of the 64 artistic activities in the company of her confidants, Sakis, embodiments of the extensions of her bodily form, permeated and vitalized by his ever blissful spiritual rasa.
I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is Shyamasundar Krishna himself with inconceivable, innumerable attributes, whom the pure devotees see in their heart of hearts with the eye of devotion tinged with the salve of love.
I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord who manifested himself personally as Krishna and the different avatars in the world in the forms of Rama, Narsimha, Vamana, etc. as his subjective portions. Brahma Samhita ki Jai.
Bhagavad Gita 7.1 purport. Srinvatam swakata Krishna punya sravana kirtanaha hridayanta hi stohi apadrani vidinoti suhritsatam nasta prayesva abadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama sloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki tada rajastamo bhava kamalo badayaschaye चेत एतेर अनावीदम स्थितम सत्वे प्रसीदति एवं प्रसन्न मनसो भगवत भक्ति योगतः भगवत तत्व विज्ञानम मुक्त संगस्य जायते विद्यते हृदय ग्रंथेश्चिद्यन्ते सर्व संशयाः क्षीयन्ते च कर्माणि दृष्टा एव आत्मनीश्वरे.
Translation from Bhagavad Gita 7.1. To hear about Krishna from Vedic literatures or to hear from him directly through the Bhagavad Gita is itself righteous activity, and for one who hears about Krishna, Lord Krishna, who is dwelling in everyone's heart, acts as a best wishing friend and purifies the devotee who constantly engages in hearing of him.
In this way, a devotee naturally develops his dormant transcendental knowledge. As he hears more about Krishna from the Bhagavatam and from the devotees, he becomes fixed in the devotional service of the Lord.
In this, by development of devotional service, one becomes freed from the modes of passion and ignorance, and thus material lust and avarice are diminished. When these impurities are wiped away, the candidate remains steady in his position of pure goodness, becomes enlivened by devotional service, and understands the science of God perfectly.
Thus, Bhakti Yoga severs the hard knot of material affection and enables one to come at once to the stage of the Samsayam Samagram, understanding of the Supreme Absolute Truth and Personality of Godhead. Therefore, only by hearing from Krishna or from his devotees in Krishna consciousness can one understand the science of Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. We'll continue reading Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 7, Text 47, Purport. The Supreme Enjoyer, the Personality of Godhead, is the Supreme Brahman, or the Summum Bonum, because of his being the supreme cause of all causes. The conception of impersonal Brahman realization is the first step, due to his distinction from the illusory conception of material existence. In other words, impersonal Brahman is a feature of the Absolute distinct from the material variegatedness, just as light is a conception distinct from its counterpart, darkness. But the light has its variegatedness, which is seen by those who further advance in the light, and thus the ultimate realization of Brahman is the source of the Brahman light, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Summum Bonum, or the ultimate source of everything. Therefore, meeting the Personality of Godhead includes a realization of the impersonal Brahman as realized at first in contrast with material inebriety. The Personality of Godhead is the third step of Brahman realization. As explained in the first canto, one must understand all three features of the Absolute, Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. Pratibodha Matram is just the opposite conception of material existence. In matter, there are material miseries, and thus in the first realization of Brahman, there is a negation of such material inabilities, and there is a feeling of eternal existence, distinct from the pangs of birth and death. disease, and old age. That is the primary conception of impersonal Brahman. The Supreme Lord is the supreme soul of everything, and therefore, in the supreme conception, affection is realized. The conception of affection is due to the relationship of soul to soul. A father is affectionate to his son because there is some relationship of nearness between the son and the father. But that sort of affection in the material world is full of inebriety. When the personality of Godhead is met, the fullness of affection becomes manifested because of the reality of the affectionate relationship. He is not the subject of affection by material things of body and mind, but he is the full, naked, and uncontaminated object of affection for all living entities, because he is the super soul or Paramatma within everyone's heart. In the liberated state of affairs, there the full fledged affection for the Lord is awakened. As such, there is an unlimited flow of everlasting happiness without the fear of its being broken, as we have experienced here in the material world. The relationship with the world is never broken, with the Lord is never broken. Thus, there is no grief and no fear. Such happiness is inexplicable by words, and there can be no attempt to generate such happiness by fruitive activities, by arrangements and sacrifices. But we must also know that happiness, unbroken happiness exchanged with the Supreme Person, the personality of Godhead, as described in this verse, transcends the impersonal conception of the Upanishads. In the Upanishad, the description is more or less negation of the material conception of things. But that is not denial of the transcendental senses of the Supreme Lord. Herein also the same is affirmed in the statements about the material elements. They are all transcendental, free from all contamination of material identification. And also the liberated souls are not devoid of senses, otherwise there cannot be any reciprocation of unhampered spiritual happiness exchanged between them in spontaneous unbroken joy. All the senses, both the Lord and of the devotees, are without material contamination. They are so because they are beyond the material cause and effects, as clearly mentioned here in Sat Asataha Param. The illusory material energy cannot work there, being ashamed before the Lord and his transcendental devotees. In the material world, the sense activities are not without grief, but here it is clearly said that the senses of the Lord and devotees are without any grief. There is a distinct difference between the material and spiritual senses, and one should understand it without denying the spiritual senses because of a material conception. The senses in the material world are surcharged with material ignorance. In every way, the authorities have recommended purification of the senses from the material conception. In the material world, the senses are manipulated for individual and personal satisfaction, whereas in the spiritual world, the senses are properly used for the purpose for which they were originally meant, namely the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. Such sensual activities are natural, and therefore sense gratification there is uninterrupted and unbroken by material contamination, because the senses are spiritually purified, and such satisfaction of the senses is equally shared by the transcendental reciprocators. Since the activities are unlimited and constantly increasing, there is no scope for material attempts or artificial arrangements. Such happiness of transcendental quality is called the Brahma Saukyam, which will be clearly described in the fifth canto.
Text 48. Sat Satrayan Niyamya Yayatu Yatayo Yamakata Hetim Chahyu Sarvat Eva Nipana Kanitram Indra. Satriyak, artificial mental speculation or meditation. Niyamya, controlling. Yataya, the mistakes. Yama karta hetim, the process of spiritual culture. Jahyu, are given up. Swarat, fully independent. Eva as Nipana, well. Kanitram, trouble for digging. Indra, supplying rains. Translation. In such a transcendental state, there is no need of artificial control of the mind, mental speculation, or meditation. As performed by the jnanis and yogis, one gives up such processes as the heavenly king Indra forgoes the trouble to dig a well. Purport. A poor man in want of water digs a well and undertakes the trouble of digging. Similarly, those who are poor in transcendental realization speculate on the mind or meditate by controlling the senses, but they do not know that such control of the senses and achievement of spiritual perfection are simultaneously made possible as soon as one is factually engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is for this reason that the great liberated souls also desire to be associated in hearing the chanting, the activities of the Lord. The example of Indra is very appropriate in this connection. King Indra of heaven is the controlling deity or demigod for arranging clouds and supplying rain in the universe. And as such, he does not have to take the trouble to dig a well for his personal water supply. For him, digging a well for water supply is simply ludicrous. Similarly, those who are factually engaged in the loving service of the Lord have attained the ultimate goal of life, and for them there is no need of mental speculation to find out the true nature of God or his activities. Nor do such devotees have to meditate upon the imaginary or real identity of the Lord, because they are factually engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. The Lord's pure devotees have already achieved the results of mental speculation and meditation. The real perfection of life is therefore to be engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord.
Canto 2, chapter 7, text 49.
Sashreyasam api viburbhagav
Yatosya bhava svabhava vitahasa sata prasiddhi dehe swadhatu vigame nuvishiryamane vyomena tatra purusho na vishriyate.
Saha, he, Shreyasham, all auspiciousness, api, also, Vibhuh, the Master, Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead, Yataha, because, Asya, of the living entity, Bhava, natural modes, Swabhava, own constitution, Vihitasya, performances, Sataha, all good work, Prasiddhihi, ultimate success, Dehe, of the body, Swadhatu, forming elements, Vigame, being vanquished, Anu, after, Vishirya Mane, having given up, Vyoma, sky, Iva, like, Tatra, thereupon, Purushaha, the living entity, na, never, Vishiryate, becomes vanquished, Ajaha, due to being unborn. Translation. The personality of Godhead is the supreme master of everything auspicious, because the results of whatever actions are performed by the living being in either the material or spiritual existence are awarded by the Lord. As such, He is the ultimate benefactor. Every individual living entity is unborn, and therefore, even after the annihilation of the material elementary body, the living entity exists, exactly like the air within the body. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The living entity is unborn and eternal. And as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 2.30, the living entity is not exhausted even though the material elementary body is vanquished. As long as the living entity is in material existence, actions performed by him are rewarded in the next life or even in the present life. Similarly, in his spiritual life also, actions are rewarded by the Lord by the 5 kinds of liberation. Even the impersonalist cannot achieve the desired merging into the existence of the Supreme without being favored by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 4.11 that the Lord awards similar results as one desires in one's present life. The living entities are given freedom to make their choice, and the Lord awards them accordingly. It is the duty of everyone, therefore, to worship devotedly only the personality of Godhead to achieve his desired goal. The impersonalist, instead of speculating or meditating, can directly execute the routine devotional service of the Lord and thus easily obtain the desired goal. The devotees, however, are naturally inclined to become associates of the Lord and not merge into the spiritual existence as conceived by the impersonalist. The devotees, therefore, following their constitutional instincts, achieve the desired goal by becoming servitors, friends, fathers, mothers, or conjugal lovers of the Lord. The devotional service of the Lord involves 9 transcendental processes such as hearing and chanting, and by performing such easy and natural devotional services, the devotees achieve the highest perfectional results, far superior to merging into the existence of Brahman. The devotees are therefore never advised to indulge in speculating upon the nature of the Supreme or artificially meditating on the void. One should not, however, mistakenly think that after the annihilation of this present body, there is no body by which one can associate with the Lord face to face. The living entity is unborn. It is not that he is manifest with the creation of the material body. On the other hand, it is true that the material body develops only by the desire of the living entity. The evolution of the material body is due to the desires of the living being. According to the desires of the living being, the material body develops. So, from the spirit soul, the material body comes into existence, generated from the living force. Since the living being is eternal, he exists just like the air within the body. Air is within and without the body. Therefore, when the external covering, the material body, is vanquished, the living spark, like the air within the body, continues to exist. And by the direction of the Lord, because he is the ultimate benefactor, the living entity is at once awarded the necessary spiritual body befitting his association with the Lord in the manner of Sarupya, equal bodily feature, Salokya, equal facility to live on the same planet with the Lord, Sarshti, equal possession of opulence like the Lord, and Samipya, equal association with the Lord. The Lord is so kind that even if a devotee of the Lord cannot fulfill the complete course of devotional service, unalloyed and uncontaminated by material association, he is given another chance in the next life by being awarded a birth in the family of a devotee or rich man, so that Without being engaged in the struggle of material existence, the devotee can finish the remaining purification of his existence and thus immediately after relinquishing the present body go back home, back to Godhead. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. In this connection, detailed information is available in the Bhagavata Sandarbha of Srila Jiva Goswami Prabhupada. Once achieving the spiritual existence, the devotee is eternally situated there, as already discussed in the previous verse.
Text 50. Soyam te bihitastata Bhagavan Vishvabhavanaha Samasena Harir Nanyad Anyasmat Sad Asat Sa that I am the same. They unto you Abhihitaha explained by me. Tata, my dear son, Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead, Vishwa Bhavana, the creator of the manifested worlds, Samasena, in brief, Hare, without Hari, the Lord, Na, never, Anyat, anything else, Anyasmat, being the cause of, manifested or phenomenal, Asat, nominal, Cha, and yet, whatever there may be. Translation. My dear son, I have now explained in the brief the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the creator of the manifested worlds. Without him, Hari, the Lord, there is no other causes of the phenomenal and nominal existences. Purport. Since we generally have the experience of the temporary material world and conditioned souls trying to lord it over the material world, Brahmaji explained to Narada that this temporary world is the work of the external potency of the Lord, and that the conditioned souls struggling here for existence are the marginal potency of the Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead. There is no cause for all these phenomenal activities but him, Hari, the Supreme Lord, who is the primeval cause of all causes. This does not mean, however, that the Lord himself is distributed impersonally. He is aloof from all these interactions of the external and marginal potencies. In the Bhagavad Gita 9.4, it is confirmed that by his potencies alone he is present everywhere and anywhere. Anything that is manifested rests on his potency only. But he, as the Supreme Personality of God, is always aloof from everything. The potency and the potent are simultaneously one and different from one another. One should not deprecate the Supreme Lord for the creation of this miserable world, just as one should not blame the king for creating a prison house in the government. The prison house is a necessary institution in the governmental establishment of those who are disobedient to the laws of the government. Similarly, this material world, full of miseries, is a temporary creation of the Lord for those who have forgotten Him and who are trying to lord over the false manifestation. He, however, is always anxious to get the fallen souls back home, back to Godhead. And for this, He has given so many chances to the conditioned souls via the authoritative scriptures, His representatives, and personal incarnations also. Since He has no direct attachment to this material world, He is not to be blamed for its creation.
Text 51, chapter 2, Canto 2, chapter 7. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Yanme Bhagavo Toditam Sangrahoyam Vibhutinam Tvam Itad Vipuli Kuru. Idam, this, Bhagavatam, the science of Godhead, Nama, of the name, Yat, that which, me, unto you, Bhagavata, by the personality of Godhead, Uditam, enlightened, Sangraha, is the accumulation of, Ayam, his, Vibhutinam, of the diverse potencies, Tvam, your good self, Itat, this science of Godhead, Vipuli, expand, Kuru, do it. Translation: O Narad, the science of God Srimad Bhagavatam was spoken to me in summary by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and it was spoken as the accumulation of his diverse potentials. Please expand this science yourself. Purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The Bhagavatam, in a nutshell, spoken by the personality of Godhead in about half a dozen verses, which will appear ahead, is the science of God, and it is the potent representation of the personality of Godhead. He, being absolute, is non different from the science of God. Srimad Bhagavatam. Brahmaji received this science of Godhead from the Lord directly, and he handed over the same to Narad, who in his turn ordered Srila Vyasdev to expand it. So, the transcendental knowledge of the Supreme Lord is not mental speculation by the mundane wranglers, but is uncontaminated, eternal, perfect knowledge beyond the jurisdiction of material modes. The Bhagavad Puran is therefore the direct incarnation of the Lord in the form of transcendental sound, and one should receive this transcendental knowledge from the bona fide representative of the Lord in the chain of the reciprocal succession from the Lord to Brahmaji, from Brahmaji to Narad, from Narad to Vyas, from Vyasadev to Sukadev Goswami, from Sukadev Goswami to Sutta Goswami. The ripened fruit of the Vedic tree drops from one hand to another without being broken by falling suddenly from a high branch down to the earth. Therefore, unless one hears the science of Godhead from the bona fide representative of the disciplical succession, as above mentioned, for one to understand the theme of the science of God will be a difficult job. It should never be heard from the professional Bhagavatam reciters who earn their livelihood by gratifying the senses of the audience.
Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 2, Chapter 7, Text 51. Idam Bhagavatam 52. Yataharo Bhagavati Nirnam Bhaktir Bhavishyati Sarvatmani Akhiladhare iti sankalpya varnaya.
Ida is my choice. Haro unto the personality of Godhead. Bhagavati unto the Lord. Nrunam for human beings. Bhakti devotion service. Bhavishyati become enlightened. Sarvatmani the absolute whole. Akila Adare unto the summum bonum. Iti thus. Sankalpa by determination. Varnaya describe. Translation.
Translation. Please describe the science of Godhead with determination and in a manner by which it will be quite possible for the human being to develop transcendental devotional service unto the personality of God, Hari, the super soul of every living being and the summum bonum source of all energies. Purport. Srimad Bhagavatam is the philosophy of devotional service and the scientific presentation of man's relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Prior to the age of Kali, there was no need for such a book of knowledge to know the Lord of his potential energies. But with the beginning of the age of Kali, human society gradually became influenced by four sinful principles, namely illegitimate connection with women, intoxication, gambling, and unnecessary killing of animals. Because of these basic sinful acts, man gradually became forgetful of his eternal relation with God. Therefore, man became blind, so to speak, to his ultimate goal of life.
The ultimate goal of life is not to pass a life of irresponsibility like the animals and indulge in a polished way in the four animal principles, namely eating, sleeping, fearing, and mating. For such a blind human society in the darkness of ignorance, Srimad Bhagavatam is the torchlight to see things in proper perspective. Therefore, it was necessary to describe the science of God from the very beginning, or from the very birth of the phenomenal world. As we have already explained, Srimad Bhagavatam is so scientifically presented that any sincere student of this great science will be able to understand the science of God simply by reading it with attention, or simply by regularly hearing it from the bona fide speaker. Everyone is hankering after happiness in life, but in this age, the members of human society, blind as they are, do not have the proper vision that the personality of God is the reservoir of all happiness, because He is the ultimate source of everything. Janmadi asya yataha. Happiness is complete perfection without hindrance without hindrance. Hindrance can Happiness is complete perfection without hindrance. Without hindrance can be only achieved by our devotional relationship with Him, and it is only by His association that we can get free from of all distressful material existence. Even those who are after the enjoyment of this material world can also take shelter of the great science of Srimad Bhagavatam, and they will be successful at the end. Narada is therefore requested or ordered by his spiritual master to present this science with determination and in good plan. Narada was never advised to preach the principles of Bhagavatam to earn a livelihood, but he was ordered by his spiritual master to take the matter very seriously in missionary spirit.
Text 53, Canto 2, Chapter 7. Mayam varnayato mushya ishwarasyanumodata srunvata shraddaya nityam mayayatma na muhyati. Mayam, affairs of the external energy. Varnayataha, while describing Amushya of the Lord, Ishwarasya of the personality of Godhead, Anumodutaha, thus appreciating, Shrunvataha, thus hearing, Shraddaya, with devotion, Nityam, regularly, Mayaya, by the illusory energy, Atma, the living entity, no, never, Muhyati, becomes illusioned. Translation: the Lord's activities in association with His different energies should be described, appreciated, and heard in accordance with the teachings of the Supreme Lord. If this is done regularly with devotion and respect, one is sure to get out of the illusory energy of the Lord. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The science of learning a subject matter seriously is different from the sentiments of the fanatics. Fanatics or fools may consider the Lord's activities in relation with the external energy to be useless for them, and they may falsely claim to be higher participants in the internal energy of the Lord. But factually, the Lord's activities in relation with the external energy and the internal energy are equally good. On the other hand, those who are not completely free from the clutches of the Lord's external energy should devoutly hear regularly about the activities of the Lord in relation with the external energy. They should not foolishly jump up to the activities of the internal energy, falsely attracted by Lord's internal potential activities like His Rasa Leela. The cheap reciters of the Bhagavatam are very much enthusiastic about the Lord's internal potential activities, and the pseudo devotees, absorbed in material sense enjoyment, falsely jump to the stage of liberated souls and thus fall down deeply into the clutches of external energy. Some of them think that to hear about the pastimes of the Lord means to hear about his activities with the gopis or about his pastimes like lifting the Govardhana hill, and they have nothing to do with the Lord's plenary expansions as Purushavasaras and their pastimes of the creation, maintenance, or annihilation of the material worlds. But a pure devotee knows that there is no difference between the pastimes of the Lord, either in Rasalila or in creation, maintenance, or destruction of the material world. Rather, the descriptions of such activities of the Lord as the Purushavasaras are specifically meant for persons who are in the clutches of the external energy. Topics like the Rasalila are meant for the liberated souls and not for the conditioned souls. The conditioned soul, therefore, must hear with appreciation and devotion the Lord's pastimes in relationship with the external energy. And such acts are as good as the hearing of Rasalila in the liberated stage. A conditioned soul should not imitate the activities of the liberated souls. Lord Sri Chaitanya never indulged in hearing the Rasalila with the ordinary men. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Science of God, the first 9 cantos prepare the ground for hearing the 10th canto. This will be further explained in the last chapter of this canto. In the third canto, it will be more explicit. A pure devotee of the Lord, therefore, must begin reading or hearing Srimad Bhagavatam from the very beginning and not from the 10th canto. We have several times been requested by some so called devotees to take up the 10th canto immediately, but we have refrained. We have refrained from such an action because we wish to present Srimad Bhagavatam as a science of Godhead, not as a sensuous understanding of the condition for the conditioned souls. This is forbidden by such authorities as Sri Brahmaji. By reading and hearing Srimad Bhagavatam as a scientific presentation, the conditioned souls will gradually be promoted to the higher status of transcendental knowledge after being freed from the illusory energy based on sense enjoyment.
Thus end the Bhakti Vedanta purports of the second canto, 7th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Scheduled Incarnations with Specific Functions. Hare Krishna. We will
Chapter 8 Questions by King Parikshit. Text 1.
Raja Uvacha Brahmana Kodito Chodito Brahman Guna Kyane Gunasya Cha Yasmai Yata Pra Narado Devadarshana. Raja the king, Uvacha inquired. Brahmana, by Lord Brahma, Choditaha, being instructed, Brahman, older in Brahmana, Guna Akyane, in narrating the transcendental qualities, Guna Agunyas, Agunasya of the Lord, who is without material qualities, Cha and Yasmai, and who Yata and as much as Praha explained. Narada Muni, Deva Darshanaha, one whose audience is as good as that of any demigod. Translation. King Parikshit inquired Sukadeva Goswami, how did Narada Muni, whose hearers are as fortunate as those instructed by Lord Brahma, explain the transcendental qualities of the Lord, who is without material qualities? Before whom did he speak? Purport. Devarshi Narada was directly instructed by Brahmaji, who was also directly instructed by the Supreme Lord. Therefore, the instructions imparted by Narada to his various disciples are as good as those of the Supreme Lord. That is the way of understanding Vedic knowledge. It comes down from the Lord by disciplic succession, and this transcendental knowledge is distributed to the world by this descending process. There is no chance, however, to receive the Vedic knowledge from mental speculators. Therefore, wherever Narada Muni goes, he represents himself as authorized by the Lord, and his appearance is as good as that of the Supreme Lord. Similarly, the disciplic succession which strictly follows the transcendental instruction of the bona fide chain of is the bona fide chain of disciplic succession. And the test for such bona fide spiritual masters is that there should be no difference between the instruction of the Lord originally imparted to his devotee and that which is imparted by the authority in the line of disciplic succession. How Narada Muni distributed the transcendental knowledge all of the Lord will be explained in later cantos. It will appear also that the Lord existed prior to the material creation, and therefore his quality, transcendental name, quality, etc., do not represent any material quality. Whenever therefore the Lord is described as aguna or without any quality, it does not mean that he has no quality, but that he has no material quality, such as the modes of goodness, passion, or ignorance, as the conditioned souls have. He is transcendental to all material conceptions, and thus he is described as aguna.
Veditam ichchami tattvam tattva vidambara hareradbhuta viryasya kataloka samangalam mangalaha. It that this veditum to understand, ichchami I wish, tattvam truth, tattvavidam of those who are well versed in the absolute truth, Nam, O best, Hare, of the Lord, Adbhuta Virasya, of one who possesses a wonderful potencies, Kata, narrations, Loka, for all planets, Sumangalaha, auspicious. Translation. The king said, I wish to know, narrations concerning the Lord, who possesses wonderful potencies, are certainly auspicious for living beings in all planets. Purport. Srimad Bhagavatam, which is full of narrations of the activities of the Supreme Lord, is auspicious for all living beings residing in every planet. One who takes it as belonging to a particular sect is certainly mistaken. Srimad Bhagavatam is certainly a very dear scripture for all the devotees of the Lord, but it is auspicious even for the non-devotees also, because it explains that even the non-devotees hovering under the spell of a material energy can be delivered from such clutches if they hear the narration of the Srimad Bhagavatam with devotion and attention from the right source, representing the Lord by disciplic success.
Text 3. Katayasva mahabhaga yataham akilatmani krishne niveshya nihsangam manastyakshe kalevaram. Katayasva, please continue speaking. Mahabhaga, O greatly fortune one, yatha, as much as, aham, I, akilatmani, unto the Supreme Soul, Krishna, unto Lord Sri Krishna, niveshya, having placed, nigsangham, being freed from material qualities, manah, mind, tyakshe, may relinquish, Kalevaram, body. Translation. O greatly fortunate Sukadeva Goswami, please continue narrating Srimad Bhagavatam so that I can place my mind upon the Supreme Soul, Lord Krishna, and being completely freed from material qualities, thus relinquish this body. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. To be fully engaged in hearing the transcendental narration described in the text of Srimad Bhagavatam means to constantly associate with the Supreme Soul, Sri Krishna, and to constantly associate with the Supreme Lord Krishna means to be liberated from the qualities of matter. Lord Krishna is like the sun. The material contamination is like darkness. As the presence of the sun dissipates darkness, constant engagement in the association of the Lord Sri Krishna frees one from the contamination of the material qualities. Contamination by the material qualities is the cause of repeated birth and death, and liberation from material qualities is transcendence. Maharaj Parikshit was now a realized soul by this secret of liberation through the grace of Sukadeva Goswami. For the latter had informed the king that the highest perfection of life is to be in remembrance of Narayana at the end of life. Maharaj Parikshit was destined to give up his body at the end of 7 days, and thus he decided to continue remembering the Lord by his association with the topics of Srimad Bhagavatam, and thus to quit his body in full consciousness of the presence of the Lord Sri Krishna, the Supreme Soul. The hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam performed by professional men is different from the transcendental hearing of Maharaj Parikshit. Maharaj Parikshit was a soul realized in the absolute truth, Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead. The fruitive materialist is not a realized soul. He wants to derive from material benefit from his so-called hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam. Undoubtedly, such an audience hearing Srimad Bhagavatam from the professional men can derive some material benefit as they desire. But that does not mean that such a pretense of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam for a week is as good as the hearing of Maharaj Parikshit. It is the duty of the saint to hear Srimad Bhagavatam from a self-realized soul and not be duped by professional men. One should continue such hearing till the end of one's life, so that one can actually have the transcendental association of the Lord and thus be liberated simply by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. Maharaj Parikshit had already given up all his connections with his kingdom and family and most attractive features of materialism. But still, he was conscious of his material body. He wanted to be free of such bondage also by the constant association of the Lord.
Text 4, Canto 2, Chapter 8. Shinvata Shraddhaya Nityam Granatascha Svache Stitam Kalena Natirdirghena Bhagavan Visate Hriday. Shinvata, of those who hear, Shraddhaya, in earnestness, Nityam, regularly, always, Grinata, taking the matter, Cha, also, Swachestitam, seriously by one's own endeavor, Kalena, duration, Na, not, Ati Dirghena, very prolonged time, Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna, Visate, becomes manifest, Hriday, within one's heart. Translation: persons who hear Srimad Bhagavatam regularly and are always taking the matter very seriously will have the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna manifested in their hearts within a short time. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki. Cheap devotees or materialistic devotees of the Lord are very much desirous to see the Lord personally without meeting the requisite qualifications. Such third-grade devotees should know well that material attachment and seeing the Lord face to face cannot go together. It is not such a mechanical process that the professional Bhagavatam reciters can do the job on behalf of the third grade materialistic pseudo devotee. The professional men are useless in this connection because they are neither self realized nor interested in the liberation of the audience. They are simply interested in maintaining the material establishment of family attachment and earning some material benefits out of the profession. Maharaj Parikshit had no more than 7 days to live, but for others, Maharaj Parikshit personally recommends that one hear Srimad Bhagavatam regularly, Nityam, always by one's own effort and with serious devotion also. That will help one to see the Lord Krishna manifested in one's heart within no time. The pseudo devotee, however, is very anxious to see the Lord according to his whims, not making any serious effort to hear Srimad Bhagavatam regularly and without detachment from material benefit. That is not the way recommended by an authority like Maharaj Parikshit, who heard and benefited by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam.
Kathara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Today we read up the Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 2, Chapter 8. We stopped at text 4. Tomorrow we'll continue to Chapter 5. Hare Krishna will start Guru Puja.